Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are on the experiment. I'm your host, Joe Soro, and it's been a while. And I don't want to have a break this long again, so I'll do my best to get things going here. And it's going to be a little easier for us to talk once baseball season starts. Usually, this is the dead time of the area because there's no NFL, there's no college football. Basketball, in terms of college, is kind of in and out. It's kind of conference play a little bit before March Madness, and then, or the March Madness tournament. And then usually the WBC isn't playing other than every 3 years, but we do have WBC news and commentary. And we're going to talk in detail, more detail than I think you guys are going to think, because I actually put out a message today on my X, whom you guys know how much I love X, right? But in the social media world, and when you're promoting a show, X sometimes plays a prominent role in marketing, right? But this was the first post, and it was really not a post; it was a reply to a post where my comment went viral. I believe right now I'm sitting at over 100,000 views, and I've been going back and forth with Yankee fans. And they're calling me a retard. They're calling me names. They're using words like narrative. I'm going to talk about that word narrative because that seems to be the flavor word of the year for at least for me. At least that's the word I keep hearing whenever something happens that continues to happen. Yet there is some delusion that's going on where people think it's some narrative. So I actually, whenever somebody mentions a word that I know, and then at the same time tries to, use that as a description to something. So I had to go to the dictionary. That's what I usually do because I want to get the exact meaning of what the word narrative is. So a narrative is a structured account of connected events, fake or not, designed to entertain, inform, or persuade by presenting a story such as novels, memoirs, sports, films. It uses key elements like plot, characters, setting. Now, you hear narrative, right? And again, narrative is the flash word of the moment. I remember late 90s, there was a word called, and everybody knows this word, of course, urgency. I had never heard of the word urgency until the late 90s, early 2000s. And then everyone just kept using, oh, we need to have a sense of urgency. We need to have a sense of urgency. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, why do you have to tell yourself to be ready and be alert and hurry up? Like, why does that have to, it's just, I don't know, people copycat, I guess. So narrative, the word narrative was tied to Aaron Judge's strikeout against Italy. There was a man on, Aaron Judge at the plate, like so many times that we've seen him in those kind of moments, and he ended up striking out. Now, I want you all to try to kind of work with me here, okay? Because it's going to sound like I'm being a Yankee hater. That's the other word I kept reading on X. How do you describe hater? It's kind of like, what is the difference between someone who's whining and someone who's concerned? It really is an interpretation based off that person, how they hear it in their own head. When I wrote the comment about Aaron Judge, it does come off negative, right? And maybe I shouldn't have said it because I was actually going to do the show. I was always going to do the show tonight. I had given hints to all my people that I was going to do a show tonight, and it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a long one, so stay tuned, right? A lot of my thinking this last few weeks, months, whatever, is there seems to be this constant negativity on everything, right? And no more negative in the other point that I wanted to make in this likely 3-hour show is look what's happened with the Bam Adebayo 83-point game. So Bam Adebayo does something that only 3 people have done: score 80 points or more, right? Will Chamberlain, Kobe, and Bam Adebayo. I think the surprise of that isn't the fact that somebody scored 83 points. I'm not kidding. I'm actually just surprised it was Bam Adebayo. In a billion years, if you had come to me and said, bet $1 on Bam Adebayo to break Kobe's 81 point single game scoring number, I would have said I wouldn't put up a penny, even if the odds were 5 billion to 1. So, anyways, we're all wrong there if that was the question at the time, but we never really knew. We didn't expect it. Matter of fact, I thought it was a typo when I heard somebody say he had 77 points. I'm like, come on, give me a break. What does he really have? I know he had a big first half, but does he really have 77? And then it was true. And then I saw how much time was up. I'm like, he's going to break it. He's going to break it. Matter of fact, I think he should have had 85, 87. But again, that's what I saw towards the end. Anyways, so instead of celebrating this, we live in a world, and again, I'm upset. I'm upset, not upset at myself, not upset at the situation, but I'm upset that it's when you tell the truth, sometimes it sounds negative. But at the same time, using the Aaron Judge scenario versus the Bam Adebayo, this is the Bam Adebayo just he had one of the all-time zone games, right? And the only thing that's spoken with that is, oh, well, he got to the line a bunch of times and they tried to feed him the ball, or they tried to foul, or they tried to do this, or they tried to do that. And again, I want to remind everyone of this because everyone has prisoner of the moment memories. And a lot of you probably were young kids when Kobe hit 81 in 2006. But I'm going to let you guys know, being that I am, one of the benefits of being an older person is I remember, and I have a good memory when it comes to this stuff, what they were saying then. Because Kobe, as much as everybody kisses his ass now, they weren't kissing his ass at that time. Yes, his constituents, his colleagues were amazed. His fan base was amazed. A lot of sports people were amazed, but there was still those guys. And the only reason why it's not as public as it is now is because social media isn't anywhere near what we are now, right? But I remember there were some people talking about how, well, he scored 81 points, but he needed 46 shots to get it. That was Kobe then. Even though the Raptors were up 18 at one point in that game, that comment was there. And then there were some people that were really stretching it a little bit, saying, oh, well, he only had two assists. And why didn't they quadruple him? Why didn't they triple him? Why didn't they do this? And they even interviewed Jalen Rose, and he was talking about how Sam Mitchell at the time, who was the coach of the Raptors, why didn't he just send 2 guys at Kobe all the time? And if you watch the game, he does send 2 guys at Kobe all the time. Kobe kept breaking and splitting the double team. And at that point, Sam Mitchell was trying to win the game. He didn't care about points. Again, this is the part that always, and it's not just dumb fans. See, this is something I want to make very, very, very clear to anyone that'll listen. The nonsense that comes out of people's mouths isn't always the dumb shit fan online. It's actual former players and people in the media that actually get paid to do what they do. They're the ones that will imagine things that didn't happen. For example, John Sally had made a comment, and John Sally is, I like John. I like Sal. I don't have like anything against him, but I think all that hippie lettuce that he smokes is melting his brain a little bit in his memory, because he has said things like, for example, the 81 point game. He had said something in a podcast or whatever. I think it was with Value Entertainment. I can't remember exactly who it was, but he had mentioned that Phil didn't want Kobe to break the record of something, right? He didn't want him to be better than Jordan, whatever it was that he said. It was something about how Phil kind of deliberately did something. And if you watch the 81 point game, and even if he didn't mean that game, because then I was thinking, did he talk about the Toronto one, or was he talking about the Dallas one? The Dallas one, when he scored 62 and 3, a lot of people believe had the Lakers not been blowing out Dallas, he might have scored 90 that night, right? Kobe was asked by Phil, do you want to go back in? And I think he did it through Brian Shaw, and Brian Shaw did an interview talking about this. He asked Kobe, "You want to go back in and do whatever?" He's like, "No, I'll get it next time, right?" And I'm paraphrasing, of course, so I'm not sitting here acting like I knew exactly what they were saying, but in jest, that's what it was. And then Sal's like, "Oh yeah, Phil Jackson doesn't want Kobe to break records or whatever it is." I'm like, dude, why are you lying? Why? What is that? Like, that's a lie. It's a lie. I'm going to believe Brian Shaw before I believe anybody. Anyways, when it comes to Kobe, those guys were tight. And Phil Jackson, I had some issues with him in 2004 with the last season and how he kind of opened up some locker room stuff that I thought was kind of low class on his part or anybody's part. But again, going back to, in the end of the day, if Kobe Bryant forgave him, who the hell are we not to forgive Phil Jackson at that time? So again, that's that. But looking at the narrative, that's the word of this particular era. Narrative. Oh, we're tired of the narrative that Aaron Judge is not clutch, folks. How many times do you have to see the best player, at least in the American League? And I'll tell you where the comment came from that I wrote. It came from the beginnings of Yankee fans or Dodger detractors or Ohtani detractors saying that, well, Aaron Judge is a better hitter than Shohei Ohtani. Okay, so now you guys are starting to believe that Aaron Judge is a better baseball player than Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, he is, because he plays the field and Ohtani doesn't. Okay. Have you ever done your homework, by the way, folks? Have you ever done your homework on Ohtani in the field when he was in Japan? There's plenty of stuff on YouTube showing what kind of arm he is. Are you that stupid and ignorant to not think that Ohtani wouldn't be a Gold Glove defender if he wanted to be? Do you really believe that? Have you done your research? Because he'd be a Gold Glove right fielder all over the place, nonstop, year in and year out. The guy is the best baseball player that's ever lived. And yet I'm still hearing about a guy whose numbers are great. Hall of Fame, nice guy. It's hard to not root for him. He's a nice guy. But when you're going to be touted the best over the best ever, at the very least, can you hit a ball when it matters? Oh, well, he hit the home run off Clase, and he hit that one home run that tied the game in Toronto last year. I'm like, can you guys come back to earth a little bit? I'm not talking about a Sunday night game in the regular season where you beat the Boston Red Sox, or a wild card game or an NLD. I'm talking about prime time and in the moment type stuff, because even we as Dodger fans saw who Aaron Judge was in the World Series 2 years ago. When it came down to doing the simple stuff, what happened? He hit a home run in the series, sure, but they were down 3-0 at that point. Or they were down 3-1. Okay, is there really a lot of pressure at that point? At that point, you're probably playing a little loose. And then, even with a 5-0 lead, you got to pop up that most people can catch blindfold, and you drop it. And then Teoscar Hernandez hits one deep that you couldn't get to. But Andy Pages got to it when it mattered. You see where you're going with this stuff? You keep telling me someone is better because it makes you feel good. Because, Shohei had went 0 for 12 in this one stretch during the playoffs. Okay, I'd like to see how Aaron would do even more if everything a team that you're playing against is geared to stop you. The Philadelphia Phillies had every left-handed stud do everything in their power to curtail him. And they were pretty damn good at keeping him from getting some amazing hits, right? But you know what great players do when you kill them in one area and then, right? Exactly. You see where I'm going with this? It's kind of the Kobe Game 7 against Boston. Kobe couldn't shoot the ball, but he went and got 15 rebounds. Played defense like he was Gary Payton in 96. Great ones adjust and help out other places. Ohtani pitched game 1 against Philly in Philly. In my view, the hardest place to play in baseball at this moment. And he wins. And then in the game that mattered, so that the Dodgers can win it, what happened? They walked Ohtani. When you walk a player and you're in a tight game, especially a player that can run on top of that, especially a player that is great like Ohtani, that matters in the results, because what that ended up doing is it put so much pressure on those pitchers that they ended up walking Mookie. And in the Yankee series in the World Series, even though he was out on one pitch, it was a productive out. One pitch, pop up. Our good friend, Mr. Mexico, Verdugo. By the way, props to Mexico for not showing up today. Sort of looked like the USA team through 7 innings yesterday, but Verdugo catches the ball, can't help but go over the rail. But even when he wasn't hitting home runs, base hits, Ohtani shows up in the littlest areas that matter. Because you know what happened when Verdugo caught that? His momentum had to go where it needed to go, and the runners moved up, therefore having to walk Mookie Betts, and then having to take your chance against Freddie Freeman, who at the time was hurting pretty bad from his ankle injury, and then you had this lefty thing. And you know the hilarious part about that, we're talking about narratives here, right? We're talking about narratives. So the thing that's pissed me off about the Yankee fan, and it's really every fan, and I'm going to get to this with the WBC, because now DeRosa's getting a bunch of crap after yesterday's game, right? It's like the same playbook in every situation. I used to get mad at Dave Roberts, but I had valid facts, valid stuff going on there to back it up. So what was the problem? You get Nestor Cortez in there to face the scariest human being with a bat, and he gets him out on one pitch. One pitch. And then you walk Mookie, and then you get the grand slam bomb from an injured one-legged Freddie Freeman. So Aaron Boone is supposed to be a psychic and assume that Freddie Freeman is going to go ape shit in this particular series, even though he didn't do hardly anything the last 2 series in that playoff run, right? He's just supposed to know. Oh, why didn't you put Tim in there? Why didn't you put Tim in there? Forgot his last name. Start with a W. What is it? It's always the hindsight's 2020, right? Oh, it's Aaron Boone's fault. It's Aaron Boone's fault. That's why. Why would you put a guy that hadn't pitched in a month? The motherfucker got the most dangerous hitter on the planet out on one pitch. So let's fast forward to that. Blame Aaron Boone for why the Yankees can't get over the hub. Blame Aaron Boone for why Aaron Judge can't hit when it matters. Really matters. Blame Cashman. Blame George Steinbrenner's ghost for not being it. Whatever. And then now, what is it now? Oh, Mark DeRosa. Oh, he he didn't do this. I guess, according to the Common Sense Bureau out there, we're supposed to say, well, Mr. Keller, that was pitching yesterday, was supposed to, throw the ball to second to get the out, right? But he didn't. He ended up turning into Orion Kirkering and throwing the ball, I don't know where, from like 10 feet away, right? That's Mark DeRosa's problem, right? At some point, the player is who they are. And a lot of people are clutch and a lot of people aren't. And some people have been clutch and aren't anymore. And some people haven't been clutch and are clutch now. Those all factor in, right? But I want to know, is Aaron Judge has he really ever been clutch for a narrative to say he's the best player in baseball because he can hit 330 in a Little League park? Well, his splits are better on the road too. Always an excuse. It's always an excuse. It kind of reminds me of the LeBron stat line of, well, LeBron hits shots better under 2 minutes than Kobe does. They get all analytical all of a sudden because their eyes can't allow them and they can't stand the noise. So let's talk about that. Let's ask the simple question there. Who do you trust in? I'm gonna give you guys a scenario here. Let's say I'm not gonna go like the traditional Game 7, full count, bottom of the ninth. Forget all that. Let's just say it's Game 3 of the World Series. It's the ninth inning. Game 3. Let's just pick Game 3 because Game 3 sometimes are the pivotal win, right? They're the pivotal game. If you go up 2-1, it's very likely you're going to win the World Series, right? Or win the series in general in a 7-game series. It's the ninth inning. You guys are going to like this question. It's the ninth inning, and each team, because the game is tied, each team has a scenario where there's a man in scoring position. A single can see. I'm not even going to go home run. Forget about the home run. Just a key hit that can change the trajectory of a championship. Because this guy is supposed to be great. He's supposed to be better than Ohtani. Okay, whatever. Ninth inning, each scenario, they have a man in scoring position, either on the top or bottom, doesn't matter. One is Aaron Judge in that moment, and there's 2 outs. The other scenario, whether, again, if it was in the top of the ninth or the bottom of the ninth, doesn't matter which one. Obviously, one of them is going to walk off, but it's the same scenario. Or Kike Hernandez. Who would you pick? Now, you can't really ask Yankee fan that question, right? Can you? You'd probably have to put some truth serum in them for them to say Kike Hernandez. Do people really understand how clutch Kike Hernandez was in this last season in the playoffs? I don't think a lot of people. We've gotten so used to it. We're so used to it, we can't comprehend how clutch he was at the plate, getting a key hit, running the bases, going with his gut, catching those pop flies, throwing it back. Kike had 2 plays in the same playoff run where he threw from left field to get a double play. That doesn't happen, guys, even in a regular season game. He did it twice in the playoffs. In the biggest series of the playoffs to boot. And one of those was at first base. And when you talk about the residual effect of those plays, IKF of the Toronto Blue Jays, this is going back to the narrative again discussion of, oh my God, I can't believe, because today, apparently, MLB, I don't know how they did it, because when I went on my own TV and took a screenshot, it's on my social media. I cleaned up the dirt and recreated the exact size of home plate. And when Will Smith's foot, the cleat hits because I was slowing that sucker down like on point. The second Will Smith's cleat comes back down, because when he first got the ball, his foot went back up. When it came back down, that cleat, you could see the cushion move. IKF's foot looked like it was 3 inches away, but they had apparently they made a call that it was 3 feet away. So the point of what I'm trying to make here is those plays, those amazing plays created fear. And you'll hear me talk about fear when it comes to money players. Fear. Almost every money player, there has to be fear. Do you fear Aaron Judge in the big moments? I don't. Not at all. Especially if it's a right-handed pitcher too that has control. That's Dunsky for Aaron Judge. He cannot hit when it matters against really good locators on the mound that are right-handed pitchers. Look at the stats. I don't want to hear about Clase either. I started laughing when I heard that. And you can't really type more than however many characters on X. That's one of the reasons why I can't stand that site either, because you can't go through the whole thing. You got to separate, and I don't have time for that. Fear, because of execution, is why the Dodgers were clutch in 2025. I'm not even going to go 2024 at this point. Stick to what would happen now. I can tell you 100 different ways on how the Dodgers were clutch in 2024 too. But forget about all that. Let's focus on what just happened. Every result of a win that the Dodgers made came from fear. It doesn't matter if Kike is a star. It doesn't matter if Ohtani goes 0 for 12. 100 batting. It doesn't matter. Because in the end, the results is what matters. And how many times have you heard me say that? But there is this blankness in people's brains. They want to believe something so much because they support a team. They support a player. That has to stop. And a lot of it is just exasperated by these idiots who get paid to talk about this stuff. They don't have any memory of the past, stats, results, they don't retain that stuff very well. They're there to follow a script. Ex-players that talk like guys on social media that have never played. That's sad. That's worse than the guy online. The guy online is an idiot. The guy online doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about 90% of the time. He's just there to just create problems. And then the ones who are not trying to create problems end up getting in a discussion like I did, where I have to try to do things in 40 characters? I don't know whatever the hell it is over there. Try to explain to people, enough already with this shit. Enough. You've been blaming everyone that's ever existed in the Yankee organization. And then we move now to the World Baseball Classic, where your guy has a chance to tie the game, continue the game, and what happens? He fucking strikes out. How many times have we seen that? At what point does the narrative become obvious? 10 years of this shit. 10. If the guy could hit in the clutch, the Yankees would have won a World Series by now. You don't believe me? You can't keep harping on 2017, folks. I know that's weird to say from a Dodger fan, but you can't keep harping on that. And the only way you can is to remind Houston Astros fans and their supporters that their title is bullshit. Other than that, I don't give a shit what happened in 2017 anymore. I'm focused on 2020, 2024, 2025, and what hopefully will be 2026 and beyond. It doesn't matter. It's over. It's only to remind those that those scumbags cheated. Cheated the Yankees and the Dodgers. That would have been a Dodger-Yankee World Series if those fuckers hadn't cheated. Narratives. What is a narrative? I'll give you guys a question here. What is a narrative that is so obvious? And no, Mark, I'm not going to get into the Ronaldo versus Messi argument. You guys are fucking nuts. I thought the Jordan-Kobe conversation, the Jordan-LeBron conversation, hell, the Jordan-Magic conversation in the early 90s that I used to have. I'm not having these discussions with you fucking crazy soccer people. You guys talk about us being nuts. I talked to my boy Edie about, because he's a Ronaldo guy. I'm like, hey, man, Messi. He's like, I don't want to fucking hear the word Messi out of your mouth. He don't talk like that. He never talks like that. Ever. I've known him 26 years. I have never had an argument with this guy. He almost had his eyes bulge out. He was so pissed when I just mentioned Messi. I'm like, oh no, fuck you all, man. I ain't gonna get into this. I'm not gonna get into this, man. You guys are fucking crazy. So, anyways, and baseball. The thing is with baseball is there's a history of great players who are not clutch, but it's different now because Aaron Judge has been in the playoffs 8 out of the 10 years he's been playing. It's not like Barry Bonds, right? Or Ken Griffey Jr. or A-Rod back in the late 90s. Those are the cream of the crops, right? Even Mark McGwire. Although a lot of people didn't look at Mark McGwire as a great player at that time, which is nuts. Because he wasn't competing, right? People just cared about the home run. But you had Shohei Ohtani. I'll get to that, Mark. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to go through everyone's setup here so that I can answer some questions. Ohtani was dying in Anaheim. He was basically wasting his career as a champion for 6 years. And had the DH been implemented in 2018, he would have never seen an Angels uniform. I have no doubt, there's no proof of this, but I have no doubt that he came to Anaheim to eventually be a Dodger. I'm pretty sure of it. Had the National League, had they had the DH at that time, I have zero doubt that Ohtani would have been a Dodger from Japan. That would have been an interesting scenario. Very interesting. Because if Ohtani gets there in 2018, his rookie year was kind of a transitionary, getting used to his surrounding year. And then 19, 20, 21, he started really doing his thing, right? So, man, what would have happened in 2019 if he was on that team? What would have happened in 2021 if he was on that team? I think the Dodgers win the championship in 2021 if they have Ohtani. It's going to be hard to convince me that they wouldn't have done it in 2022 if 2021 hadn't happened. I think if Ohtani comes to LA in 18, I think the Dodgers probably have 5 championships right now. Can't say they would have won 7, 8 in a row. That's probably not realistic, but I think if they don't win in, they don't win it. Okay, they don't win in 18, they don't win in 19, they win in 20. How do they lose in 2021, 2022? Because those are pretty stacked teams. And then you put Ohtani in there. Whew, be an interesting what if. By the way, speaking of that, I'm going to tease this for you guys right now. I know Gerald's probably listening. We're going to do a lot. We're going to do a show on Lakers Fast Break. It's going to be obviously more tailored to the Lakers and basketball, but we're going to do what if shows. And I might have a what if show on here as well, because I think it's important to go through that, because the audience is going to learn the history of what's going on then, because, again, some of us have a really good memory for it. And we'll have some good subject lines on what ifs. What if Kobe had been – what if the Lakers had won in 2004? What if the Lakers had won in 2008? What would have happened? And I've hinted at little things here and there about those particular series. What would have happened if the Lakers had won in 1989 and 1991? I think those are really fun stories. So – be ready for that. But let me get to your guys' comments here. I know I'm 37 minutes in here, so I feel pretty good that we're going to be on a path for a pretty good show. Let's see. We are going to talk about the baseball. Yes, we are. I believe I have. Craigers, good to have you here, my friend. Always a pleasure. Thoughts on Max Crosby veto trade? Hey, is Rob Pelinka the GM of the Baltimore Ravens right now? Looking at this from an outside scenario, I would say they probably came out better by going after Hendrickson as a free agent and saving their first two, or this year's and next year's first round picks. First round picks. I was in shock with that. I go, are they really going to trade 2 first-round picks? This is the Baltimore Ravens? Now, I don't know Eric DeCosta very well, but I've known the Ravens operation pretty well. It's probably one of the best run organizations the last 25 years. But in my view, still the best rivalry in football, which is the Steelers and the Ravens. So that was an odd trade before it was rescinded. The question now is, are any other teams ever going to deal with the Ravens for doing what they did? Because that was interesting. It's a smart move. They kept their first-round picks. And Hendrickson versus Crosby, I mean, let's say Crosby's maybe 1 point better than Hendrickson. Okay, but is that gap enough to trade 2 first-round picks? No. I think they come out better in the end with this. But I don't know what kind of shrewd, weird thing happened in the end here. And I don't believe anybody's going to give – I don't care if it's Detroit. I don't care if it's Minnesota. I don't care if it's the Rams. There's a lot of rumors now that the Rams might be in on the Max Crosby trade thing. I don't think the Rams should – I think the way they're setting up their team, if Matt Stafford can play another 2 or 3 years, let's say, which is a lot. I mean, he's been here since 2008. But if he can play another couple of years, 2, 3 years, I'd say keep doing what you're doing, getting in good draft picks and a good culture in there, and don't waste away any first-round picks for anybody. They were – I mean, Max Crosby could be kind of sort of the guy that tips you over maybe. I don't know, but that's based off of what happened this last year. This last year that they lost to Seattle, I mean, a cough here, a cough there, they'd win that game. They probably win the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know necessarily if you want to give up really, really important draft capital to just maybe hope that same year happens. That's not very realistic. It's a big chance you take. And I think if anybody needs a Crosby, I'd say, and needs to win now, because at least the Rams won a Super Bowl and they're competitive already. Detroit Lions have been competitive, at least recently, but I think him and Hutchinson, with Crosby and Hutchinson, I think that would help them get out of this little lull that they've had the last couple of years since they got to the NFC Championship game 3 years ago. So yeah, the weirdness of that rescinding deal. I think I'm in support of. I don't think this is going to happen, but I'm in support of maybe stop making the announcement until the physicals are done. I think there was buyer's remorse because I think there might have been some noise that they gave up too much. Even still, even if it wasn't, if Hendrickson's even if the Hendrickson scenario hadn't maybe popped up later after they had already verbally given an okay for the deal, I think they still would have gotten something like not good. That's too much for a guy that's already been in the league and he's already gotten surgery on his meniscus, and then of course eventually they use that as the excuse on why they didn't keep him. So I would start telling these teams, stop making the announcement that you're getting somebody until their physical is done or you've approved their physical. That's how I would avoid these little rescinding deals, because it does look kind of stupid when they do that. Daniel Berry, happy Wednesday. Hi, chat. Hi to you too as well, my friend. Mark DeRosa. An embarrassment. USA lucky to be. Well, it didn't help that he didn't know what the rules were. I'll be honest. I don't know why they picked him as a manager. Does anybody know why? I haven't had a chance to research that. If you guys can research that, post it on the chat. I'll read it as soon as I catch up, of course. Let's see here. Joe, thoughts on when someone calls you a retard? Usually it's tongue in cheek. I'm not really offended by it because I call people retards all the time. And my definition of retard isn't a mentally challenged person. I would never call a mentally challenged person a retard. I think that's a disgusting thing to do. I call able-bodied, normal, functioning people retards because it makes sense, right? Like, are you retarded? Like, have you been held back? Because you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be someone that is not ailed in any way. And, even that can be insulting to some people. So you got to go all in on it at that point. Like, if certain people are going to take it the wrong way, either way, they're going to take it the wrong way. And at that point, you call them retards and tell them to fuck off, because I don't have time to deal with this. Context is such a bad talent that people have besides common sense. Context is important, folks. Learn it. Joe, what is Tua going to do with $99 million and the Dolphins owe him? Well, I'm going to say he's probably going to invest it well. I don't know what the hell he's going to do in Atlanta. It was Stefanski. I seems to not be able to get away from lackluster quarterbacking. If I'm Stefanski, if Tua is a backup, if Penix doesn't come through, okay, use him as a bridge and try to see if you can get a quarterback, maybe in the draft next year. I think that's their only hope. Penix, JJ McCarthy were picked so embarrassingly early in their draft. I couldn't figure out what the hell they were doing in Atlanta and in Minnesota. Those guys are not anywhere near top 15 picks. Those guys should have been a third-round pick at best. I watched J.J. McCarthy play at Michigan. I saw him in the Rose Bowl when he beat Alabama to go to the national championship game, and I saw him play against Penix. Penix had a sort of good game in the national title game, but it's college football. The level's so much lower than the NFL, and I just didn't. The guy played in college for like 13 years, and J.J. McCarthy handed the ball half the time. I have no idea what the hell these teams were thinking. And this is the part, we talk about narratives. We're supposed to be the idiots online sometimes that are not knowing what the hell is going on. And then you're sitting here watching these people go, look, man, I know what I saw. And I didn't even watch every J.J. McCarthy. Like, I don't have access to that. I mean, I guess I could record every game and do my own analysis. I don't have time for that. That's not my job. I don't have time to do it. You guys are football coaches. You're general managers. You're player personnel people. How do you miss that bad? You really need a quarterback that desperately where you're going to sacrifice that high a pick? You can't do that. You debilitate your team worse when you do shit like that. Just ask the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett has been in the league 5 years, and he's been with 5 teams. No first-round pick. Let me repeat that. No first-round pick ever has been on 5 teams in his first 5 seasons. Ever. And I wasn't necessarily upset that they got Kenny Pickett. I figured, well, he's a Pitt Panther. He's in their backyard. Maybe there was something there that I missed. Sometimes I don't know everything, folks. I know that might amaze you all, but sometimes I will roll with the punches. If I don't know what's going on, all right, well, maybe they saw something I didn't. Once in a while, you can't be everywhere. You just can't. I mean, if I didn't have to work and I was retired and I could follow every sport and I got paid for it, yeah, sure. I could probably know a little bit more about potential draftees in the first round, second round, third round, be a Mel Kiper of the experiment. Could somebody tell me why Malik Willis was so wanted? The fact that they got rid of Tua, which I think Tua is his concussions, I think have destroyed his career. I don't think it's anything else. Maybe he's not a good quarterback either in terms of a starter, but those blows to the head, man, they really screw you up. But what is the hard on for Malik Willis? What the guy had? The guy had like 4 games in Green Bay that were, let's just say C plus B minus, and all of a sudden everybody's like, where's Malik Willis going to go? Boy, you guys are in for a rude awakening on Miami, man. Good luck. Contusion words. That makes sense. Just say bruise, you assholes. He got a bruise. I told some of you the terminology of the jumping jack when I was in junior high. If you guys hadn't heard it, I'll tell it to you again. There was a PE coach in junior high. We called it junior high when I was growing up, not middle school. He called us out. This is the first time. This is the first day we were there. I was there, 7th grade. He goes, all right, guys, we're going to do 10 side straddle hops. What the fuck did he say? And believe it or not, even at 13 years old, 12 years old, I'm like, what? Side straddle hops. What the fuck is a side straddle hop? I don't even remember who told me what it was. Well, I don't think anybody told me. I just started seeing people doing jumping jacks. I'm like, why did he call it side straddle hops? Huh. Didn't know that. Okay, so this one go ahead and did it. And then as we got older, you started hearing interesting terminology to hide plantar fascia. Remember the plantar fascia? The first time that one came out, I'm like, what the hell is a plantar fascia? Oh, it's that thing underneath your foot. So we can't just say his foot's broken, or there's a bruise on his foot, or there's a tendon that's ailing in his foot. We have to call it the plantar fascia. Joey ain't a hater, he's real. Well, the hater real thing is just like someone who whines and someone who is got concerns. Some people interpret it as a whine versus some may interpret it as a legitimate complaint. It's into the brain of the beholder at that point. Judge and Harper haven't been clutch. Well, Harper. So I read something before I got on the show today. I read that why aren't we getting on Mr. Harper for not coming through? I did. An inning earlier. I was like, freaking Bryce, are you ever going to do anything? The only thing is, the difference between him and Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge is a Yankee. And you Yankee fans, you've been starting to talk a little bit out of term. We've known Aaron Judge isn't clutch for years. Stop saying Aaron Judge is better than Shohei Ohtani. Stop. If Shohei wanted to play the outfield and not pitch, his ass would win Gold Gloves every year. You don't believe me? Go look at his stats when he plays in the outfield. Go look at that arm and how he gets guys out at third. Very Mookie Betts-esque in that ability. You're telling me that a guy that can throw a 101 with movement can't throw a guy out from right field if he wants to on a continuous basis and win Gold Gloves? So you go have Aaron Judge come out of center field, right field, left field, whatever field he's in, and let's see him pitch. Let's see him throw 10 strikeouts in a closeout game to go to the World Series. Oh, and also bomb 3 home runs with 3 different pitchers. And one of those bombs went almost to Pluto. And one of those bombs was a 99-mile-an-hour pitch that looked like it was scared of Ohtani and actually moved a little bit. But Ohtani said, "You ain't going anywhere, baby. I'm sending you out." I was actually more impressed with the 99. The 99 in that he sent out for his 3rd home run. That was actually my favorite home run. Stop saying Aaron Judge is a better baseball player than Ohtani. And stop talk about narratives. You dumb morons. If Ohtani wasn't pitching, he could play the field and he would win Gold Gloves left and right. There's a history of it in Japan. Go read, go watch, go learn. And by the way, I think even the staunchest dumbass over there in the Bronx, could you imagine Ohtani with that Little League park, with that even more little right field fence? Could you imagine the numbers that Ohtani would have in Yankee Stadium? He'd have 70 home runs there. I have zero doubt. If he set out to hit 70 home runs and he played in New York, you would see home runs in droves. You'd probably see a 4 home run game twice in the same year if he had a chance to play with that Little League right field. Just saying. Maybe there needs to be some analytics on that. All those pop flies maybe in right field, because I think they have the numbers that could connect to that, right? They have WCRPs and all that bullshit. I was sitting watching sabermetrics. One day I was like, hey, I got to understand this more. I got to understand what a WCRP 458 plus is. I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's like when a pitcher balks. I always tell everyone, I'm like, I still don't know what a balk is. Well, it's when a switch comes off the rubber, whatever. Okay. Well, what about when it doesn't come off the rubber and he sort of moves? Well, that's, because of this, and that. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't think I ever will. Spolster's a joke now for letting Bam do that. They do it for media attention. NBA numbers are low. It's not that, son. They've been doing that shit before. It's just now you're, again, in the moment and you don't think it happened. People are oblivious. And I'm not going to blame the young people of the 2000s, the 90s and beyond then, because you guys you weren't adults to understand it. But let me tell you this. I've been an adult for a while. The stuff that was going on in the 90s, because everybody loves the 90s right now. Everyone my age, oh man, the 90s, things were so amazing and great. And everything was good. They were bitching about grunge and how everybody was killing themselves. They were bitching about hip hop and how it was influencing the culture. You know, they were yelling about killing cops on these things and oh, society is going down. And there were riots and OJ and bullshit. You guys all act like you just started to live your fucking life. Wake the fuck up. In 10 years, someone is going to say, man, remember how good it was in 2026? You watch if you live long enough. People are full of shit. They purposely forget the bad things from before so that they can have their narrative now. How can a scrub like Yarborough be on that team? Well, that's the one thing, Craig. Thank you for bringing that up. I think the formation of the roster is where they really screwed up. That is where they really screwed up. The way DeRosa's been using his pitchers, there's some merit there in terms of him not being able to, I guess, manage it well. But who picked DeRosa to manage anyways? I was surprised when I found out he was the manager. I'm like, really? You don't want somebody that's currently playing? You know, who are the ones that messed up most of the time yesterday? Wasn't it the Mets? Pretty much almost all the Met relievers. I mean, Mason Miller probably should have gotten brought in a little earlier. But maybe DeRosa thought they had a pretty good hold on the fact that they weren't going to score anymore until Brad Keller ended up turning into Orion Kirkering. Can't even throw a ball. He's a pitcher. He couldn't even throw the ball to second with any kind of oomph. He had to throw it somewhere else, and the ball's going this way. And the second base, Bobby Witt Jr., I think it was, couldn't get the ball. You can't predict that. Is that DeRosa's fault? No. If he makes that play, they probably don't score 2 more runs, and then it's a tie game going into the 9th. And then Tarek Skubal says, I'm probably going to pitch 1 game. Well, motherfucker, why are you even there then? I know why you're not going to play more than 1. We all know what's going on. So get a pitcher that can play, that has a contract already. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me check something here real quick, guys. You guys know how I feel about this. And when I saw this stat, I started laughing. So, big bad Italians. The big bad Italians who beat the big bad Americans. You guys want to hear who's on that Italian team? Jacob Marcy, born in Michigan. Salute. I'm born in Michigan too. John Bertie, born in Michigan too. Good to see you, sir. Vinny Pasquantino, born in Virginia. Dominic, I always call him Calzone. Dominic Canzone, Ohio. Zach DiZenzo, Ohio. Kyle Teal, New Jersey. Jack, I always have a hard time pronouncing this, Caglione, Florida. Sam Antonacci, Illinois. Dante Nori, Canada. Michael Lorenzen. And this, when I saw him on the team, I'm like, wait a minute, because he's from California. I'm like, huh? This ain't an Italian team. Half these assholes in all these other places weren't even from these countries. Their great-granddaddy, manny daddies took a trip to these countries, and now they're qualified to go play for that country. It's a joke. Everything's a fucking lie and a fake. I called myself on the Lakers fast break the Haitian sensation. Just because I felt like saying, and at this moment I feel like I am a Haitian. What are you going to say? What are you going to do about it? And if Haiti had a baseball team, football team, whatever, and if I yelled at it long enough, hey, I have a distant fourth cousin who was Haitian, so I should play for Haiti. I think Alicia Silverstone in the movie called them Haitians. That was her pronunciation, by the way. That wasn't like in the script. She actually called them Haitians because that's what she thought they were. So Americans lost to Americans yesterday. And those same Americans whooped the shit out of Mexico today. So we are looking at now, what is it? What are the results of, we have a quarterfinal set up now of Canada in Pool A and Puerto Rico. Pool B, by the way, Houston's the only stadium. Like, did they have to go play in Houston? That's another Little League, Minute Maid, Sunny Delight fucking stadium. No wonder those assholes are so competitive, because all they got to do is just look at the ball and it goes out of the stadium. Anyways, so you got Italy and the U.S. and B pool in Houston. Pool C is Tokyo, and Tokyo is Japan and Korea, and then Pool D in Miami is the Dominican Republic, who beat Venezuela today, but Venezuela is still advanced. So Japan is going to play Venezuela next, I believe. Dominican Republic is going to play Korea next. USA is going to play Canada on Friday. That's going to be fun. And then Italy is going to play Puerto Rico. So my prediction right now is the U.S. is going to play Canada or beat Canada on Friday, and then face Italy for the revenge game when Italy beats Puerto Rico. Now, that's not a done deal. If Puerto Rico wins, I wouldn't be surprised, but I think Italy does have some momentum right now. So I'm going to pick them. So there's a high probability that you're going to see a rematch, which I think the tournament organizers and a lot of the fans want that particular they want that particular final in that pool. So USA can continue to whoop the shit out of Canada on Friday, which I think they will. That's going to be fun discussions that night and the weekend. And then eventually get revenge on Italy. Then I don't know who's going to win between the Dominican Republic and Japan. I think that's going to probably be the best series or best game of this tournament when it's all said and done. And then the U.S. is going to play Japan or DR to win it all. And that's kind of where I'm at on that. We'll have to wait and see, though. Stefan, how are you, my friend? Thank you for being here. Yeah, they also said, oh, well, he only had 4 assists. I'm way behind, guys. I have to catch up. I think Canada baseball team will beat USA team. Well, if Bryce Harper and Aaron Judge continue to strike out when it matters, you might have a point there. Joe, any plans for St. Patrick's Day? Well, St. Patrick's Day is my kid's birthday, so we're going to be partying hardy. Not with alcohol and anything with the kid, but because she's only going to be 13. But we're gonna all go out to dinner and enjoy the evening. I hope Mike Trout has a good year. I think we all hope that Mike Trout can have a good year, but is there such a thing as a good year as an angel? I don't think so. Nothing to say about the NFL. Alan, I got plenty to say about the NFL. I think you kind of came in late. I did talk about the Mason Crosby fiasco. Trey Hendrickson now has replaced him in Baltimore, less the distribution of 2 first-round picks in this year's draft and next year. So good for the Ravens. Maybe not good for the GM of the Ravens, because I don't think anybody's going to trust him anymore. So my advice to those GMs is don't announce the deal until the physicals are done and it's a done deal. That's my advice on that. And maybe that's not realistic. Maybe that's just part of how this is done, but I think it should change. Yes, thank you. Please hit the like, subscribe, and notification buttons, guys. I have not done so well in being available more on the experiment, but I do like that sense of want a little bit. Hey, do you guys want the show? Hey man, Joe, I haven't heard you talk in a while on the experiment. Can you do a show? I prefer the audience determining when I should be on here. So when I start to hear it, I like to then sets things up. So that is true, yeah. But I don't know. I don't trust the YouTube algorithm anymore. I think they're because so many nitwits think that people want to actually listen to them talk. It's watered down everything. I might need a whole different marketing plan away from YouTube to have actually something viable. It'll get there, just a matter of time. Great. I guess we're just addicted. Judge, not clutch. Always the detractors out there with that, right? How you got a little hair hanging on your forehead like it's my wild hair. Anytime my hair starts to get long, I have to kind of place it this way. Good eye there, son. Addicted to Joe. Haha. Major issues. Nah, it's good for fun. Supporting the boys. Looking forward to the Bulls game. Yeah, I like the fact that they're going to play the Bulls here after a couple of really hard games. I'd like to see. I'd like to see Luca drop 50 tomorrow. I really want to see him drop 50. I think he's been stuck on 49 this year. I'd like to see if he could drop 50. Good day, Craig. Oh, good. We just got into third place with Denver. Yeah, Denver lost. Technically, are they in third place? Because I think Houston owns the tiebreaker. Because the Lakers have only played Houston once, and Houston beat them. Are you sure that they have the upper hand on that? I don't think so. Yeah, they don't, because they're going to play Houston 2 more times. They only play Houston 3 times this year. So Houston beat them months ago. They own the tiebreaker at the moment. But the fact that they're tied for 3-4, I think, is good. But it's still only 1 game behind Denver, Minnesota, and then 2 games behind Phoenix. We're looking at an interesting stretch here. We're looking at 65 games, which means we got 17 games to go. Can the Lakers go 10-7 to finish the year? I was thinking it would be a good year to win 50. Although I did think they had a good chance to win more because they had acquired Marcus Smart and Ayton. I think that had upgraded the lineup compared to what they had last year. And DeAndre Ayton has been a little bit better the last couple of games. I hope he continues it. And I've been happy with the Marcus Smart acquisition, regardless of some of the shots that he's missed in certain games, and maybe taking too many chances in that realm. You can't. I've been very happy with Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart has been huge in letting the Lakers be relevant. I think he's played a big part in that. So I'm very happy that he is a Laker. If DeAndre Ayton can just continue to do what he's been doing this last couple of games, it would go a long way for them to possibly somehow return to that 3rd seed again, because that would just help. That would, I think, help them have a chance, man. They would have a chance. And I don't know what's going to happen with the Thunder and the Spurs either. Their Spurs are, in a lot of ways, probably the best team right now in the NBA with Oklahoma City. Detroit has a little bit of say in there as well. Boston, because they're Boston, I think there's room there too. But I think Jason Tatum might not be where he needs to be to really push this team through. I think he'll still be valuable, but not to the point where once they get into a 7-game series against a team that's going to push a little bit hard on them, that they can probably get through it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Again, it's the East, so you never know. Let's see. Where are we here? LeBron coming back will ruin the team chemistry, though, so I'm still not liking the season overall. Let's see. Okay. Australia nearly beat Otani in Japan the other day in the baseball classic, and no one plays it here. Japan isn't that good at sport. Just they have some really good players. Well, I think Yamamoto's pitching next. I'm going to side with Yamamoto. Yeah. I think Yamamoto is going to whoop some ass. Get him ready for the season. Baseball's fickle, guys. It's weird like that. The amazing part about the back-to-back championship that the Dodgers just won is it happened even with all the money allocated, with all the talent. It happened because a couple plays here and there went the Dodgers' way finally, and then they won. And usually that doesn't happen in baseball. It's you don't get lucky twice in a row. And if they get three in a row, because if you look at the last time there was a three-peat in baseball, the New York Yankees in 1998 were arguably the greatest baseball team ever in terms of a season. They won 114 games, went 125 and 50, counting the playoffs, en route to pretty much dismantling everybody they faced. Swept the Padres in the World Series, lost one game in the playoffs that whole year, that whole playoff run. That right now is the standard. And then 99, I mean, they were pretty damn good then too. 2000, they ended up facing the Mets. Mets hit the ground before they even were able to do anything. So there was this continuous, oh yeah, the Yankees are going to win. The Yankees are going to win. And the Yankees were close in 01 to the point where that series taught me something about baseball, probably more than any other time in my life in baseball. You had game-winning home runs in New York, 3 straight during that series. So you had Arizona win the first 2 games in Arizona because Arizona had the home field at that time. And that was when they were alternating. I can only imagine if it had alternated in the Yankees' favor that year, because if it had, they'd probably win the championship and 4-peat. But Arizona wins the first 2 games, and then the Yankees win the 3 middle games, and that was right after 9/11. So there's a lot of emotion during that time. And they win in absolute gut-wrenching, soul-destroying, end of the game home runs against that was the same pitcher too in game 4 and 5. I always forget his name. I know it was Kim. Yankees D-backs. Let's see. What was his full name? Kim. I know you guys are probably saying it now. I'll see it like in 10 minutes. Byung Kim. That was it. So he serves up 2 horrible pitches and ended up losing in the end in clutch ways, right? So the Yankees are up 3-2, and I don't think anyone on the planet, including D-back fans or maybe to some degree the players, there's no way after 9/11, New York having these amazing games, last-second games, in a possible 4-peat, that they were going to lose in Arizona. They were going to take one of those games. And, man, did they get close, man. The one of the 2 times I saw Mariano Rivera become human. They're up 2-1 because they got blown out in game 6. I think the D-backs scored like 20 runs. Game 7, 2-1, bottom of the 9th. You had the greatest closer in the history of baseball, 3 outs away from a 4-peat. And the rest is history. You can't look at that past game and say that's going to always be the momentum that's going to take you to a championship. It doesn't always happen like that. It just doesn't. There are several instances where there's been some great games, some gut-wrenching losses by teams, but then the team comes back and wins the series. So that's that. Let's see. Joey, we need your thoughts on the 83-point game we didn't get during LFB. I mean, Bit over it today. More. I know I probably talked about that already, Mark. So that's good. Can you see the Padres trading for Mike Trout? I don't think Mike Trout wants to leave Anaheim. Until I hear he wants to leave, I don't think that's going to happen. Joe, I think his wife wants to stay in Anaheim. The area is a beautiful area. That's probably why Albert Pujols went there after St. Louis didn't want to sign him. Just what it is. My LAFC is there, yeah. Again, props to you, son. I hope you continue to play well, and Magic's teams continue to do well. Magic's a winner, spews winner everywhere. Ratbirds suck. I do agree. Balma, I agree with that. I like that. Best NFL free agent signing so far. I guess at this point it's Hendrickson going to Baltimore. It's the big name at the moment. He will be a difference maker on that team, especially with Baltimore. Baltimore knows how to use star players very well, especially star players that come in that they're already established. Usually they're drafting those guys, but they really needed an edge rusher. I think their defense was really, really bad. It's probably one of the worst Baltimore Ravens defense I've seen in years. So I'd say right now Hendrickson is the guy. Who are the Ratbirds? Ratbirds are the Baltimore Ravens, Mark. I'm behind, folks. I'm behind, but I'll get to you guys here real quick. That's funny. They call it. Raven's actually a pretty interesting bird. I'm not going to get into that, but the Ratbirds is more just the fact that it's Baltimore, and being a Steeler fan, there's always a nickname for the rival, and that's what that is. Where are we here? So, Craig, they've been talking about him going to Philly because that's where he's from, but he's never hinted at it at all. He could have gone there, in my view, 5 years ago, but it just seems like Mike Trout does not care. He doesn't care about winning. He has to play a part in this. Unfortunately, LeBron will come back. He always fakes an injury every year. By this time, check past years. We're effed, bro. Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so over the LeBron talk. He's going to be out a few more games. I think JJ Redick today said that there was still some weird things going on with his hip. Who would have thought it, right? Old man with a hip problem. The Lakers will need every bit of talent to make a run. And if things fall in place, meaning there's a key injury in Oklahoma, San Antonio, there could be something. It's something you have to factor in today's NBA. You don't know if everybody's going to make it through. My only thing is, would it be better if LeBron came off the bench? I thought that was an interesting question that I heard before. My God, if he came off the bench, that would help. Initially, we wanted Austin Reeves, but if Austin and results again, folks, if Austin Reeves and Luke are going to continue to play together the way they have, you got to roll with what's working. But there's no way that LeBron's going to come off the bench. There's zero chance. So what do? Does Austin Reeves say, let me come off the bench? But then LeBron doesn't play defense. These guys, you saw them play defense the last two games. They were running back. They were switching. They were a problem for both these teams because they're young legs and they're trying, and it's about desire. And LeBron doesn't have the physical ability anymore to really go all out like that because he will get hurt, and he has gotten hurt already. So what do? The best thing to do if there was a possibility of this happening is, can you come off the bench, LeBron, because if you come off the bench, you're going to do what you do very well still, and that is score against inferior players, like you were a star. Use LeBron to beat up on the second team players and let Luka and Austin and the younger guys handle the guys that are starters and the ones that are elite athletes that are going to be able to make shots unless you're in front of them, right? So as a Laker fan and as a message to all Laker fans, this is, I don't know what is the end game here. I don't know when they're going to lose. I don't know how they're going to lose. I know that if they were to win, there has to be a lot of weird things that would have to go in their way. And it has to be tailed around the upper echelon teams having injuries that debilitate them. That's it. So, but once the season is over, I think we can finally wash our hair, our faces, and say, okay, it's over. Now it's time to start drafting like you used to. Now it's time to start looking at free agents that can form to a team that you are definitely going to have for the next 5 years at the very least. They're going to sign Austin Reeves. I'm just hoping it's not for the max. And then can you go get one more guy? Because Austin Reeves as your 3 is pretty good. If he's not going to be a bench guy, and he plays the way he played yesterday, sure. But we also need to see how he does in prime time. If I'm going to sit here and yap about Aaron Judge not coming through when it matters. Now, Aaron Judge versus Austin Reeves is a completely different story, though. Austin Reeves isn't known as the best player or best top 2-3 player of a league. But at the same time, Austin has struggled coming through in the playoffs. Does that warrant a max contract if it happens again? Absolutely not. Does it merit a max contract if he does? If he does come through, the answer is still no. Because you don't live in the NBA in 2005 anymore or 2011. You now live in current times in the NBA, and they have a pseudo hard cap once you reach the second apron. And when you debilitate your team too quickly with max contracts to guys that might not be the exact star that you need on the team, you're putting yourself in the position that I like to use as a comparison is you turn into a team that pays elite quarterback money to a very good quarterback. So anyone who's employed Kirk Cousins, anyone who's employed Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, for maybe different reasons than Dak, different reasons for Kirk Cousins. They're all 3 different scenarios. Kirk Cousins really needed to be a player on a team similar to what they did in Seattle this year. But I don't know if his personality would have ever allowed it. It's not so much the money. It's just his personality with, in a lot of ways, doing whatever is necessary. I don't know if Kirk Cousins ever had that, really. Dak Prescott, I think that explains it itself. As long as Jerry Jones is calling the shots in Dallas, they won't amount to anything. And no, I'm not counting the 3 Super Bowls he won in the 90s. At some point, when you've gone 30 years and haven't sniffed an NFC Championship game, and you're the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, by the way, with all those monies and resources. Oh, well, Joe, there's a salary cap in the NFL. So is it excuse, right? Does it really have to do with the salary cap? Just bad leadership, right? So Dak Prescott, very good quarterback, but not elite. Kirk Cousins, good quarterback when he was in his prime. Now he's not. Getting max money, not going to work. Jordan Love, getting a lot of money. Is he an elite quarterback? Can he stay healthy for 1 year? No. Well, what about Jalen Hurts, Joe? Well, the NFL's going through a little bit of an interesting period right now. A lot of defense heavy managing of the quarterback position players, good running games when you need it, good receiving, good offensive lines. I'd say the two best offensive lines the last 2 years happen to be the world champions. Philly, yes, last year, and then Seattle this year. But the NFL seems kind of dull, isn't it, when the elite quarterback isn't there? I mean, they're trying to push Josh Allen so much. I can't get that missed pass that would have been a touchdown against Denver. It was the perfect description of Josh Allen's career so far, where he was an accurate throw away from probably scoring a touchdown on that drive and then probably winning the game. There's no reason, in my view, that as good as Seattle has been in terms of a team concept and coaching, there was no reason that it shouldn't have been the Rams and the Bills in the Super Bowl. But that's me. Don't pay a very good player elite money, especially in a game where there's a salary cap, a hard cap. The NBA has a hard cap the moment the second apron is touched. So be careful. Lakers have a lot of thinking to do, but the great thing is it is the Mark Walter group. They know exactly what they're going to do, so I have zero worry about it. That's why I'm not stressing about it. Let's see here. Let me get back to what you guys were saying here, because where are we here? Why did we ever get? Okay, good. Wow, you guys posted stuff really quick here. Let me get back to this real quick. Unfortunately, I'll come back. Always fake an injury. Okay. Craig, his son Bryce redshirted Arizona. That's good. Yeah, I agree, Joe. Since he is on the team, if at least he can come off the bench. Thank you. We are both somehow number one at the same time. That's awesome, Craig. Why do I have a feeling Giddy is saving up for a triple dub for us tomorrow? I asked Joe and Gerald months ago if LeBron should come off the bench, and I got laughed at. I'm grateful it's at least now being discussed, though. Salute for bringing the conversation. Well, I think we probably laughed because it's never going to happen. At this point, LeBron can't play defense like the team could play defense. So, yeah, we're basing this off of what we're watching. If LeBron can't switch fast enough, if he can't stay in front of his man long enough, if his desire isn't there to play defense, all it takes is one bad leak in that defense to destroy everybody else, because no one on the team is an elite defender. No one. So that guy cannot cover ground at all times. So it matters that team defense is on one string, moving in a synchronized way. And the second it doesn't, that's when things fall apart. And unfortunately, with LeBron in there, that's what usually happens. It would be a devastating proposition to playoffs if LeBron was humble enough to lead the second unit. I would have so much respect for him if he did that, but he probably won't. So here's how you play around with that. This is where this is where you separate the good coaches from the bad coaches. So you start LeBron the first 5 minutes, which we've seen plenty of times where he starts and then he sits after about 5 minutes. I would sit him down. I would sit him down the entire second half of the first quarter. And I would play Austin Reeves and Luka in the first quarter with the proper five that can play defense. And then when the second quarter hits, let LeBron play 8 minutes straight. And then sit him again and let Austin and Luka do their thing with the correct five. I don't think JJ would sit LeBron the entire second half of the second quarter. But what this will also do is if you were able to play him on the average 6 minutes for every quarter, plus let's say depending on the game situation, because that's only 24 minutes, and then sprinkle a minute or two here and there and make them play 29, 30 minutes, that would need to be the discussion. That would be the discussion. And for the love of God, please, can you start setting plays up for Luka to win games at the end of games? Please do this. I want to see a play off the inbound where Luka gets the ball and he's got some room and he shoots and he wins a game on a buzzer or with like 1 second left. Please, it needs to start happening. Ox, mate, thoughts on Laravia's play recently? Blokes can't. Yeah, that's the only problem. You see, he's been playing his butt off just in terms of, contributing on the energy side and defense and all, but he can't hit the water in a boat, man. I don't know what the hell is going on with his shot, but it's pretty bad. He's got to fix that shit. I don't know what the investment in him is not big. There's only another year left in his contract for $6 million. So play it out as best you can. See what he does next year. Maybe he gets better. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Now you got a point, Joe. He's that dude that should come off the bench. Yes, I mean we're just going off what we're seeing, guys. That's all it is. It's not rocket science. That's why Brown should start. So we have a better D. We need a good forward to our number 2 go along with Luke and Austin. Yeah, that forward is going to be an interesting decision. Who's available this summer that would warrant that? No one. It would have to be a trade. No one of any relevance, anyways. There's really no big names that are going to be available this summer. So who's going to be the big forward that's going to come our way? Who's going to be the one that wants to leave where they're at and who is someone that would be a star? The only one is Giannis right now. That's it. I don't know if there's any really chance of getting him this summer. I don't know. He would have to demand a trade to LA. The Lakers would likely have to throw in Austin Reeves in there. And I would just, if they're going to throw draft capital, I just don't want them to throw the first round pick this year. I'd like to get something in the draft this year. This draft has some really, really good talent. They can get somebody in the late teens, early 20s that could be someone that could hit some shots and play some solid D. That would go a long way in building this thing where it needs to go. So that's where I stand on that. I don't know how it's going to end up, but I feel pretty confident that the Guggenheims are going to they already have a plan and that they'll eventually get this thing figured out. Any idea? Could not agree more. I've been trying to think of options for the offseason besides the obvious of Trey Murphy and Giannis. Yeah, Trey Murphy the third would be great, but I don't know how that would play out in terms of a contract. Joe, do you think any other team would pay Austin the max? His last contract, he couldn't get any offers and had to take the Lakers offer. My instincts say no. I don't think anybody's going to want to pay him 4 years, $45 million a year, unless he's the guy that would tip him over. I don't know any team that would need that has cap space that could be that would have the tip. That would be the tip over to get into contention for the next 3-4 years. We're talking about $180 million, guys. That's a lot of money for a guy that has struggled in the playoffs and can't really play defense against elite players. That's not max money, guys. It's not. Back again to the Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Jordan Love examples. These are very good players. Well, Kirk Cousins now on the downside of his career, but when he was, because Kirk Cousins kind of become the poster boy of mid quarterback that has been taken care of like an elite quarterback. When you do that, you've seen the results in Washington, Minnesota, Atlanta. They didn't win shit. You've seen what's happened in Dallas. They haven't won shit. You've seen what's happened in Green Bay. Haven't won shit. Because when you're paying the quarterback that much money, usually, you're going to not be consistent. So we look at Jalen Hurts. He got his money. They won a Super Bowl. But you have to also factor in timing as well there in terms of them being able to pay enough to have a good line. They did draft. When you draft really well too, you save a lot of money that way. So those things factor in there. If you don't draft exceptionally well, you're always going to be what the Steelers really have been the last decade. On top of the fact that they had one of the most average coaches that I've ever seen. That's been called great for whatever reason. I still can't understand how that works, but a lot of things have to factor in. And even then, even when they were champions, they looked pretty bad this year, pretty much the whole year in terms of their standards. But as far as consistency is concerned, it's a little easier to do that in basketball than football. Football is too injury riddled to be consistent unless you have an elite quarterback. Someone like a Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, a Manning, Ben Roethlisberger to a degree before he kind of started going downhill. But I don't know. I trust who's in charge of the process now. So if the Lakers for some reason decide to pay him the max and keep him, I'm not going to be upset, but I'm going to be waiting for the next move. Hit the like, boys. Thank you. We need to get Joe up to 200 subs this week. That would be great. I'm at, what is it, 191 right now? Have we gone up yet? Again, this is no one's fault but mine. I'm not doing enough shows to warrant the algorithm, and I'm not totally upset with that. I'm not trying to bang my head from it, but it's just what it is. I have a lot of time that I got to allocate to watching the games. I also feel like I have an allegiance to the Lakers fast break for them to be a priority before mine, because I wouldn't be here without it. But it'll all come together at some point here. It's not easy because who have those forwards don't want to let them go, Steph. Okay, good. Missed your take on Bam's 83 points, Joe. How do you feel about that? I don't like the excuses on why he got it. It should be something celebrated, but the free throws ruined it, right? And it was a game against the Wizards. It was a game that felt kind of given to him, right? It's not the first time that's happened. I remember David Robinson was fed the ball in 1990. What was it, 1994? Was it 94 or 95? 94, I think. Costing, yeah, it was 94 because Shaq won the scoring title in 95. So in 94, last game of the year, San Antonio kept feeding David Robinson the ball, ended up scoring 71 points and ended up beating Shaq in the scoring title. And that pissed off Shaq, by the way. But this is entertainment too sometimes. Sometimes you want to see a player score and get records, and that's really what this was. I'm more in shock that it was Bam Adebayo. The 83 points doesn't register at this point. It's Bam Adebayo did it. I can't believe it. I can't believe this guy had 31 points after one quarter. I had a chance to gauge the game earlier this morning while I was getting ready to go to work. I was kind of watching here and there. on the replay on NBA TV, and I couldn't believe after a quarter. I was like, this guy really scored 31 points after the first quarter. Wow. Never thought. I thought Klay Thompson might have had a chance before. I thought Steph Curry at some point. I thought for sure Luka. Luka got close. He had 77 points in one game. Which don't sleep on that either. Be careful. If somebody can beat 83, it could be Luka or Wembanyama. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Joe, would you ever play pickleball? Yes, I would, and I do want to. Just one of those activities that eventually I want to get to. Joe, why do the Lakers stress me out so much? Because you give a shit. That's why. When you're stressed about something, it's because you care. We all care. We all know, Joe, that LBJ won't come off the bench. His ego won't allow it. If it was JJ, I would start LeBron and then tip off, take a foul, and sub. Again, no one's dumb in this scenario. No one is dumb. Even that little process that I had in my head, that's not going to work. Not now, anyways. If it was early in the year to preserve him. But, guys, all it takes is a bad 6 minutes in a game to lose the game, too. So in that game where he's not playing defense or can't play defense, it's not switching well, can't stay in front of his guy, won't give the effort that's needed, that could take the game to 12, 13, 14 points against a good team, and then you don't ever come back. You don't come back from it. I have no idea. That's a good question. They've been tanking for almost 50 years now, by the way. Aiming to retain their top 8 predicted pick. Maybe. When you're ready, Joe, thoughts on Bam's to 83? I think I just said that, so that's good. Joe can make clips for you. You want to make clips for me, son? Make your clips and post them on social media. I'll tell you what. Send me an email and we'll talk. Will the Rams sign Stephon Diggs? I hope they don't. I think Stephon Diggs is one of those guys I would not want on my team. Joe Sor, if you can interview 5 athletes or front office people, who would they be and what would you ask them? Great question. I would interview I would definitely interview Ohtani. I would interview Patrick Mahomes. I would interview God, that's a really good question. Ohtani, Patrick Mahomes. The reason why I picked those, I'll tell you why I picked those guys too in a minute. Trying to think the other 3. Paul Skeens. I like Paul Skeens. I like the cut of his jib. I want to talk to him like it's not an interview. I think he'd be a really good interview. I want to interview Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, Skeens, Ohtani, Patrick Mahomes. Now, I know what I'm going to get from Skeens and Rodgers if I talk to them. They're a little bit more grounded in terms of kind of not caring a little bit too. They'll tell you what's up. Ohtani is very professional. And Mahomes, the reason why I want to interview Mahomes is I want to ask him how he feels about becoming a villain when it's not warranted. I think that would be an interesting question to ask him, and I would be interested in hearing what his answer is, because that's puzzling to me, how everyone turned on him. If you want to turn on Travis Kelce because of his extracurricular activities and he's kind of a jackass, sometimes I sort of get that part, right? Okay, that's fine. Andy Reid is puzzling to me why you would not like Andy Reid. Andy Reid seems to be a damn nice man in terms of football and his ability to coach. Like I don't understand. He's not Bill Belichick. He's not a dick. So I don't know what the hate of the Kansas City Chiefs is. And of course, you got to ask the leader of that team, which is Patrick Mahomes. Their ownership is even nice. The Hunts are nice people. Might not be very accommodating according to their little grade thing. I know that they got a couple of D's here and there in terms of their uh, amenities, but I would really want to talk to Patrick and say, "Hey, man, I really want to know what is it? What do you? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about becoming a villain when it's not warranted?" The Otani interview is probably going to be more towards. If I was going to ask Otani, it would be more of why. Why do you think? Why are you able to still maintain the conditioning that you can continue to have doing both? I know he likes to sleep, so the recovery part of that is there. He sleeps 10 hours plus a day, right? Let's say he sleeps 10 to 12 hours a day. And they said that he sprinkles naps in between there, right? He's obviously taking good supplements probably to recover as well there. Okay. But I'm sure there's a lot of players that do that, right? How do you maintain the focus? And I don't know if I'm going to get the answer I want with him because he's going to try to play the cliche, right? Oh, well, I've been given this ability and the recovery does well and I have good teammates and I'm on a good team and all that. He'd probably play that route. That one would have to probably be private. That would have to probably be private to where I can get what I want out of that instead of public. Patrick Mahomes, I think I can get public. I think I can get the answers I want publicly. Definitely Skeens. Definitely Aaron Rodgers. There was a hint of maybe he's not a current player, but I want to talk to Bo Jackson. I want to interview Bo Jackson. And I'm not an interview guy, by the way. It wouldn't sound like an interview. I would, and I don't want to sound like Joe Rogan either. Joe Rogan is an irritating interviewer to me. I know he has the best podcast that's ever been put together, but everything with that guy is wow, everything's an ASMR with that guy. Every time he has an orgasm over every subject. I don't want to be that either. But talking to Bo Jackson, because he's really real. Really real. Really, really, really real. Very determined man. Probably his best attributes, believe it or not. Even more than his athleticism back in the day. Just a lot of principles, a lot of as grounded as you could ever get. Loved his mom, and she raised him in a way where money wasn't ever the controlling part of anything he did. It was about doing things right. And there's plenty of proof of that, man. He told Hugh Culverhouse, the owner of the Tampa Bay Bucks, at that time, motherfucker, I ain't coming to Tampa Bay. I don't care how many times you draft me. After it was alleged that he had messed up his last year of eligibility in baseball because they took him out for a recruiting trip. And I'm putting the bunny ears there. So yeah, I'd say those five would be the pick. Which sports league, Joe, has become softest in the era of weak-minded players, coaches, and execs? NBA by far. I am guessing NBA, yes. But curious how you think baseball compares. Well, so when you look at Otani, when you look at Freddie Freeman, when you look at the Teoscar, I'm just going to use the Dodgers as an example here. You look at the guys that we're watching every day, right? Every game. Those guys are all playing 155 plus games a year. So there's 162 games throughout the year. Baseball players are at least, even the top-notch guys are playing. They are playing, and they're playing a lot, almost all the games. Now, you can say that it's harder to play basketball than baseball all you want, but I'm not going to buy the fact that because there's got to be an evening out process here. So the word around, and Steve Kerr being the dipshit that he is, every time I feel like I'm hard on, I'm hard on Steve Kerr because of how stupid he talks outside basketball, getting his nose in the business that I feel like is stupid and poorly timed. But anyways, him coming out and saying, "Oh, that this game is too fast, and this game is we need to cut down some games." Like when your coach is doing that, when the coach is doing that, that is the ultimate in terms of creating the pussy that those guys are. And it's not just him. This has started really with Greg Popovich and basically preserving his old players, and it created this habit. Because what I want to know is the league is as soft as wet toilet paper, right? Don't you? And back in the 90s when they didn't run as much, the cover there is they were brutal to each other. So you tell me, is it harder to recover from running all day or getting elbows in the back, leg, neck, head, game in and game out, year in and year out? You tell me. I think those even out at some point. I don't think guys are taking care of their bodies as much. You have to adjust, don't you? If you're running around too much, if your legs are getting tired, maybe you need to have a better diet. Maybe you need to stretch better. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. But I have worked out. I do understand recovery, size, speed. That's pretty much all I cared about growing up, because I wanted to play ball. I wanted to be a professional too. By far basketball, because they make way too much money, and them not being available is part of the culture now. It's not really about anything else. And for the guys that are, blowing tires, like I said, they haven't adapted to it from a recovery standpoint. And if you're not going to do that, then you're outdated. You're outdating yourself. But they're not going to do that because they're making too much money. Joe, nice listening to you today. Don't forget to watch my LAFC games and my World Cup games. I'll do my best to watch the World Cup games. As far as watching the MLS, I don't think there's any chance of that, son. I can barely watch the NHL, college football, and college basketball like I'd want. So, but good luck with everything. Again, I know my friends will love watching you play, and I'll continue to support you when I can. Have a good night, brother. Mahomes does seem like a really good dude, even though I am a Brady guy. I have respect for Mahomes. Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't. I mean, I understand why, because people are jealous scumbags. But the fact that this guy gets the fact that this guy is hated against. If you want to make fun of him because of his voice or because he's married to some lady, or that's, I guess, par for the course. People are just scummy like that. But to make him a villain, just like how the people make the Dodgers a villain. A villain? Shohei Ohtani a villain? Freddie Freeman a villain? Mookie Betts a villain? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes a villain? No, sorry, I can't. I'm not buying it. I think it's stupid. I don't think we respect greatness. Seven straight AFC championship games, 5 Super Bowls, and 3 wins in his first 8 seasons. And finally, season 9 was the one that finally took him out. Finally, the injuries, the loss in players, maybe fatigue, finally set in. And now everybody's jerking off towards it, right? And I'm sitting here going, look at how things turned out, right? Like, look, every asshole that was complaining about, I can't wait for Kansas City. Look what you got. You got Drake fucking May in the Super Bowl. Probably the worst Super Bowl team I think I've ever seen in my time. Honestly, I think the New England Patriots of this year was the worst Super Bowl team that I've ever seen get to a Super Bowl. Without a doubt. I don't think that actually there's a doubt at this point. I'm trying to think. The Super Bowls that I've seen that I remember. So I think my first memory of a Super Bowl was Super Bowl 22, Redskins versus Broncos, 1988-89 season. I'm sorry, 1987-88 season. We're talking about 40 years ago, 39 years ago. Let's look at that for a second. So John Elway versus the Redskins that year. Denver goes up 10-0, and then Doug Williams and the Redskins open up a can of whoop ass in the second quarter and drop 35 points on Denver, and then that was it. The year after that, one of the best Super Bowls ever played, which was Cincinnati and the Niners, went down to the last drive there with Joe Montana throwing a touchdown to John Taylor on a post route to win at the end. 89, you had John Elway again, Denver. They got waxed 55-10, but that's how good the Niners were. 90, you had the Bills, Giants, Scott Norwood, wide right. Then you had the Redskins, who were the best team all year in 91, beat the Bills that year. Then the Cowboys in back-to-back seasons against the Bills. Niners against the Chargers. I mean, I guess maybe you can say the Chargers of 94. Maybe. Stan Humphries. I don't know. At least the Chargers that team that year had Junior Seau on the team, Natron Means on the team. Mark, they had a pretty solid team. I just didn't like. I think the New England Patriot team was just okay. And then after that, it was Steelers, Dallas, and Green Bay, and Patriots, and then Elway goes back to back. Is it the Falcons of 1998? No, they had a pretty good team then. No, I still say, well, Kerry Collins in 2000 with the Giants, maybe. I don't know. No, I think this is the worst one. This is the worst Super Bowl participant I've seen in 39 years. And it showed on the field. Because most of those teams that you could argue maybe it was not right. My thing is the team that beat the Giants with Kerry Collins in 2000, that was arguably the greatest single season defense ever, right? With the Baltimore Ravens. They lost to an all-time iconic team. Same thing with the Chargers in 94. They lost to that 94 Niners team has a place of being one of the best teams ever in terms of a single season. Would you consider the Seattle Seahawks in that area? No. They had a great receiver who got hurt in the Super Bowl, by the way. He had Sam Darnold, who was decent. And they had a good defense. But I wouldn't say that the Seattle Seahawks of 2025, 2026 is one of the best teams ever. It's just not. Joe, what's up with the Clippers now? Just spanked Minnesota, going to 45. Thoughts on new acquisitions of Garland? I'm sort of cheering for the Clippers because we don't want Oklahoma City to get that high draft pick. So there's that paradox again that I talk about a lot. Cheering for the Clippers is like throwing acid on your dick, but maybe the sizzle feels a certain way, right? I totally pulled that out of my ass, by the way. Pardon the pun. Kawhi is a legit All-NBA second teamer this season. Yeah, I mean, when Kawhi is right, there's no doubt he's a stud. I mean, even his physique this year was pretty amazing in terms of seeing how he's gotten in shape. He's legit. He's legit when he's on. You can't argue against it. Joe, any chance of you doing a nightcap again after the main fast break show? They were epic, mate. I could. The problem is time, and I really try not to stay up too late. I got in this rut about a month ago where I couldn't sleep, and I've never had that problem. I'd have occasional nights throughout the year where I'll sleep. I might not even sleep all night, maybe, or sleep really late, like at 4 or 5 in the morning. But I really try. I'm off the circadian rhythm even as late as I stay up, but I really try to get enough sleep so that I can function during the day because I'm often running usually pretty early, and even getting to bed, like I will be getting to bed here soon. It's too late. I should be going to bed around 9, 10 o'clock, at the very least 10 o'clock. But being a Laker fan, games are usually finishing at 10, and then we have the show, so it becomes difficult. So you guys have seen me kind of not show up every now and then here, like last night. A lot of that is because I need to Shohei Otani sometimes. I have projects that need my attention. When I'm around, people feel good because if something needs to be adapted, I'm there to adapt it. That's the whole point of running the gig. Today was no different. I was there early. Made a couple trips to the shop, made a couple trips to the job, and jobs finish and then we start new ones, and they finish and start new ones, and that's what I do. And a lot of that I need to be able to put my head down and be rested for the following day. So I'll let you. Since you asked, Jeremy, I'll see if I can maybe one of those early games during the rest of the regular season, one of those early games where we start at let's say 4 or 5 o'clock. Game finishes around 7 or 8. We have the Lakers fast break, and then maybe I'll do a nightcap to follow that after the LFB, and we can do that. I'll let you know. Son, you're not real, son. You're a loser. Gerald and Joe are like magic grease. Thanks. Is it Stefan or Stefan? Indeed, Jerry and Joe agree. Thank you. Appreciate it. Scap attacks Jordan. Say whatever makes you happy. 0 World Cup wins. Well, talk to me when you're at least a tie game. You know how hard it is to win a World Cup, Mark? I don't even know if I asked you the question the right way. I am Robert Ory. Robert Ory. So I was talking about Kike earlier in the show. There's zero doubt that I've stamped Kike Hernandez as the Robert Ory of the current Dodger dynasty. When he got the third championship here, I was like, there's no way there's not a comparison to Robert Ory when it comes to Kike Hernandez. Kike Hernandez is without a doubt, and no argument. There's no way you could convince me otherwise that Kike is not the Robert Ory of the current Laker dynasty. I mean, we love Robert Ory here. We love Robert Ory. Love him like we love Coop. Love him like we love Magic, Kareem, Byron Scott, all those guys. James Worthy. Love Robert Ory. And Robert Ory is really easy to like, too, because he's also one of those guys that is legit honest, too. He'll tell you what's up. And that guy gave us a lot of joy in the early 2000s, guys. I can't help but say, but I scraped my skull on top of a popcorn ceiling because of Robert Ory. And it was the best scrape I've ever had in my life because it created a hilarious story. It was at a point of adulation, game-winning shot in Portland, 2001. They should have lost that game, but I wanted them to sweep Portland so bad because I wanted them to get out of the first round and get some rest for the Sacramento series that year. And he hit that game-winning shot in Portland in the corner, jumped up what felt like I jumped maybe 12 feet high. If I had a 12-foot rim, I think I might have been able to dunk it at that point. Scraped my skull without even knowing, by the way, guys. I scraped my skull in the hallway of the fraternity house where there was still popcorn ceilings. And the ceiling wasn't obviously, 9, 10 feet tall. It was probably like 8.5. But I jumped high enough to hit my head on it. And then not realize until the next day, due to adrenaline, that I had scraped my entire area here to the point where it was bleeding. Yeah. Love our Robert Ory. And we're witnessing, as Dodger fans, the It's funny saying a modern day Robert Horry when Robert Horry's still around. He is the modern playing player in another sport, which is Kike Hernandez, who is of almost identical comparison to Robert Horry. D Fish, it's a good comment there, Stefan. I've been going back and forth on who I considered D Fish on this team. You'd have to pick somebody that's been there the entire time, right? Who is D Fish? Would it be Will Smith? Will Smith I'm starting to hear a little bit of Hall of Fame talk with him. So maybe that's not the case. Was it Chris Taylor? Was it Chris Taylor maybe? I don't know. Because Chris Taylor had some clutch moments. He was a series MVP, game-winning shot against St. Louis in that wild card game. He hit 3 home runs in a single game too in a playoff. Maybe Chris Taylor, because Chris Taylor's not going to be a Hall of Famer, right? Derek Fisher's not a Hall of Famer. He was clutch and he was that glue guy that I think we'll have to probably wait on that one. I don't know. Trey Hendrickson, hold out for $28 million per wad. That best he could do. Don't open a million market. Yeah, anytime an edge rusher could get $28-30 million, that's a win. Even if it's for only 3 or 4 years. Yeah, any edge rusher that can get a $100 million contract is set for life. And Cincinnati, being Cincinnati, that's the thing is with the NFL is because of the hard cap, it's hard to, even if it's this detestable run team like the Cincinnati Bengals, it's hard to allocate enough money to everyone, right? Someone has to be left out. And at this point, it was Trey Hendrickson. And that is the shit for sure. Is the shit for show. Joe, do you remember the first time you challenged your father's perspective on something? If so, what was that like? I was talking to him about Roger Staubach and Terry Bradshaw. So my father came to America in 1976. For those of you who don't know who Roger Staubach was, he was the original Captain America. This was a Navy serviceman. God-fearing, married with children, Dallas Cowboy quarterback, never one bad news thing, anything about him. He's still Captain America in a lot of ways. So there was a lot of talent. Captain Comeback was also his nickname because he was a clutch player too. Now, when you look back in the 70s, the Steelers beat the Cowboys because it was really the Cowboys. The Dolphins sort of started that decade as the team because they went to 3 straight Super Bowls, won 2 of them, one of those being the undefeated season in 72. So the Dolphins kind of started that decade as the team, even though Dallas had won a Super Bowl, but it was Miami that had won back-to-back as 72 and 73 went through. But then the Steelers won in 74, and then the Cowboys met. And of course, the Cowboys beat Miami in that Super Bowl that they beat. So there were, again, there was Cowboys and then Dolphins. And then the Steelers won their first Super Bowl in 1974 and then met Dallas in 75. Dallas, I think, was leading in that game going into the 4th, and then the Steelers came back and won the game. Then 2 years later, or 3 years later, they met for really kind of the team of the decade at that point because they both had 2 Super Bowls. And whoever won that Super Bowl in 1979 or 78, they would be the team that won 3 versus 2 and 2 with Miami. And, that would be considered the best team. And the Steelers would have beaten them twice, and they ended up doing that. So I went back and forth, and I talked to my dad. My dad thought that if I think I asked him this question, or I don't remember if we saw it on TV when we were talking about it. I go, "Do you think Roger Staubach would have been a better quarterback with Pittsburgh?" He goes, "Yes." And then I kind of agreed with him initially, but then as I kind of started seeing more and more footage of what Terry was doing in those big games, Terry Bradshaw, in my view, still actually has the greatest deep ball that I've ever seen. I mean, the way he flicked the ball deep, and a lot of it's because of when he did it. He did it in the most crucial moments in those games. Whether it's Lynn Swann, whether it was John Stallworth, I mean, it was absolutely clutch above clutch when he would do that. And I went back. I said, Dad, I don't think Roger Staubach wins 4 Super Bowls with this year. I think the fact that Bradshaw was able to do, and I'd show him. I said, look at how he threw Roger can't throw the ball like that. No way. But I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that Roger was steady and smart, whereas Terry Bradshaw was kind of known as a jackass, right? But in the end, it's football, guys. You know, there are guys that are from Harvard that Ryan Fitzpatrick played in Harvard, right? He's not better than Aaron Rodgers. He's not better than Joe Burrow. He's not better than Peyton Manning. When you look at Peyton Manning versus Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? When you look at Peyton Manning, he's a good old boy. He's kind of a dunce, right? A controlled dunce. I'm not saying he's stupid. I'm just saying he's a good old boy. And then you put him next to a guy that got a 50 on his Wonderlic test in Ryan Fitzpatrick, who went to Harvard, is half a genius, but who's the better quarterback? Playing quarterback is different than solving problems on a sheet of paper. So that was probably the one memory I remember, God rest his soul, before my dad passed away, that I said, hey, I think Bradshaw was the guy. I don't think they win Super Bowls the way they did unless they had him versus Roger Staubach. And it made sense, right? Because Bradshaw ended up going 2-0 against him. As far as off sports, with my dad's perspective, I got to be honest, man. My parents were rarely wrong when it came to real world stuff. They were pretty good. They had a pretty good and my sister and I inherited that same observant talent in terms of being able to understand what's going on around them. So I think my dad, towards the end, maybe when I would tell him, like, you got to be a little more calculating. I think I got more calculated when I got older, even though I did share his enjoyment for the heat. You know, we get heated, we have tempers, right? But it has to be controlled at some point. You got to be able to control it so that you can function better. And my dad never seemed to have that talent. He seemed to, when he went off, he went off. Me, when I'm off, I've been able to kind of sort of be a controlled. I know what I'm saying. Therefore, that even if somebody does come and say, "Hey, man, you got really mad," yeah, I'm like, yeah, but I was right. I wouldn't have said what I said unless I was thinking and knew what I was saying. I remember that shot, Joe, talking about what was special time to Lakers fan. Yeah, man, that shot was, it's like a relief, excitement too. Bitch hours, son, Spain won the World Cup. I've eaten, mate. Go enjoy effing esport. The only thing Korea are good at. That's pretty mean there, Mark. That's not nice. Yes, Smith's a good comp for D-Fish. Yeah, I don't know yet, man. I don't know. I'm going to have to see how that plays out. What is your country known for? K-pop and esports. Ha ha, how embarrassing. Yeah, but Korean women are hot, right, Mark? I know we are playing Chicago tomorrow, Joe, so I have to ask, what's up with that team? Won't win shit, but also won't tank. So bizarre. So here's the thing with Chicago that a lot of people don't know about. We talked about this on LFB a few weeks back. I think Reinsdorf is trying to sell the team because I think he's getting up in age. That's sort of something I think I read or whatever. But Chicago is still living off Jordan's 90s aura. They make a lot of money there. I don't think they give a shit about winning. And Reinsdorf's that kind of guy. I mean, think about this. This guy broke up a championship team. If he had just brought everyone back in 99, they would have had a 50-game season. They would have been so rested, and they would have four-peated. I have very little doubt that they would have beaten San Antonio in the finals that year. If there was a movie that mimics your life, what would it be, Joe? Falling Down. A little dramatic and excessive, but Falling Down, Falling Down. It was a movie done in 1993. Michael Douglas. He didn't get along with his wife and kid, which I don't relate to, but I related a lot to how he handled the stress during that day. Those are things that I would have loved to have done. Juan, what's up, man? Good to see you. Just got home from work. Good for you, man. Have a little bit of Sanka for me, will you? How did USA lose against Italy in baseball? Well, I think they lost because they were smelling their own butt cheeks, and then they finally started getting their act together towards the end. And unfortunately, the last couple runs that they allowed Italy was the one that actually broke them. It wasn't at the beginning when they were getting home runs left and right. It was those last couple stupid errors that the relief pitchers were making, whether throwing the second or throwing freaking floaters to the mound, or not being able to freaking throw the ball in general and having the ball bounce all over where Will Smith didn't know where the hell the pitcher was pitching. All those things cost them an extra couple runs, and if they hadn't done that, those last couple runs, they would have tied that. They would have tied the game, and they probably would have won. Hasn't Korea won a World Cup? Korea in baseball? No. I think right now it's 3 Japan, 1 America, 1 I think the Dominican Republic. So that's 3, 4, 5. 2005. Was it 2006, 2009, 2012, 15, 18, 21? Yeah. So 3 Japan, 1 America, 1 DR. Who was the other one? I don't remember the other one. I don't know. Japan gonna win the WBC. Well, it's the quarterfinals. So with that, they're gonna have to face the Dominican Republic after they likely beat Venezuela, but that's not a gimme either. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Drip Show, my guy, man. Props to Drip Show. You can see his logo over there on the corner. You can see his apparel here. You can see the art there. And in all of this stuff that you see, it can't even touch, not even this much, of how much better it is to hang out with my boy Chris. 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row I've gone to spring training. 2 years in a row Chris and I have been knocking down beer, watching baseball, and enjoying life. And there's no replacement to that. So a salute to my good friend Chris for many, many more, hopefully more than once a year. Man, did I have a good time this last weekend at Camelback. Weather was gorgeous. The beer tasted good. The baseball was fun to watch. The crowd was great. The noise was great. Everything was great. And again, hosting as well as you do, Chris, thank you so much for being you, and looking for more and more of those experiences as we continue here. So sports baby, Korea, South Korea, Australia. Okay, so Sun is now fighting back against Mark. See, Mark is like a caged animal. Mark will come out of the cage and not be an animal. And then all of a sudden, he'll go back in the cage and then turn into an animal again. It's just random. You just gotta have to get used to it. Better food and hose. Actually, you're not wrong on that one, by the way. Actually, I didn't even mention that. There's a lot of good looking women there this last time. Lots of good looking women. I think, matter of fact, me and Chris ended up sitting down later in the game when people were moving in. He and I were talking. I remember there was this cute one that was sitting next to us. She ended up moving 4 seats to the left. I think we were irritating her. That was fun. Joe, from a parent's perspective, what are your goals for your kids? My parents stress independence while I'm in college right now, but your thoughts? I stress respect for their family. It's the foundation of everything. Respect your family. You always make good decisions when you respect your family. I don't run a tight ship, but I run a very, very sturdy ship. My children do not talk back. They may loosely come out with some attitude towards maybe the wife, but my wife's nice and it's a little easier to kind of maybe push back with her. But my children have never mouthed off to me. My children have a very, very good feel of respect towards me. They understand where I am. They understand how I think. They understand how I handle business. Business in the home, respect in the home isn't something that I need to talk about. And that's imperative to know if you're going to be in the house. I don't need to tell you that you need to respect your teachers, you respect your mother, you respect your family. That should be ingrained in you by what you see. Children are very good at understanding things when they see it, and then on occasion hear it. I don't like to continue to repeat myself. I don't like to repeat myself, period. So if something were to go down, my question usually is, what were you thinking when you did this? Did you actually think this was a good idea? And they haven't had a lot of those moments. Girls are different than boys. I think I might have had a little bit more of a challenge with a boy because boys have testosterone crazy. Women and girls are usually a little bit more rule abiding. That's just my experience because I've been around girls my whole life. My sister, my mother. I've been married 18 years. I have all girls, 2 girls, a lot of girl cousins that I have hung out with in my life. So respect is imperative, but it's not at the expense of losing their individuality either. I don't want them to not go enjoy their life. I don't want them to not get upset either. It's how you get upset when you're frustrated. You do not have the tone that I don't like. I don't like whining. I don't like the whining sound. And they've gotten really good at not doing that. Otani's going to do something this year that has never, ever seen. And this is the year to do it. Can Otani hit 60, win a batting title, and then maybe be a top 2 Cy Young Award winner or top 3? I cannot see him winning a Cy Young. I'm dying a little saying that too. It sucks. I just don't. Paul Skeens would have to get hurt because Yamamoto and Otani would it's just natural. They're going to split votes in a lot of ways. They're going to have a lot of the votes of that. And Skeens is just, he's too damn good, man. We're going to have to wait till he's a Dodger before we can think about that. 2028. But yeah, I just can't. I can't see it. But even if he is in the top 3, let's say in the Cy Young, hits 60, wins a batting title, he's going to win another MVP. I'm not worried about that. But if he three-peats and wins a World Series MVP, that's it. It's over. I mean, we said that last year too after he won NLCS MVP, won another championship. But I mean, this is really over. If the argument isn't, I'm not even going to address the argument at that point. If the Dodgers three-peat and Otani wins a World Series MVP to boot with an MVP, regular season MVP, which I have no doubt he's going to win, barring an injury. No, sorry, three-peat, each league MVP, each series MVP in that time, and 3 MVPs in a row. Fuck that. No, there's no way you can argue against it anymore. I'm done. I'm not even going to address it. Honest to God, if that happens. Senka, much like the term Xerox, much like the term Q-tip, the name of the product took on the name of the actual item. Senka is not coffee. It's the name of the company that made coffee. I'm a big Sopranos fan, so there's a scene where one of the two of the main characters, Silvio Dante and Chris Moltisanti, go to and somewhere in New England area where they're looking for hitmen that are within their little friend group, and they go into the house, and it's really kind of a weird place. Like this blind lady that answers the door. One of the guys that's a hitman is half blind. The other two are on oxygen, and the other is whatever, weird. And they're just standing in there trying to get this thing brokered so they can take out the guy that they want. And the man that was blind said something to the lady, more Senka. So that always stays in my mind in terms of coffee. And Experiment was on TV. Yeah, we were. I was. At the represent the boys in Australia. Drip one day, we all watch game together. Yes, for sure. All love Xbox and sports. See, Mark, the son's a good dude, man. Come on. Drip, man, that was funny, man. Got the Ox on live on TV with thumbs up. Yes, that was fun. I enjoyed that, actually. I love how baseball does actually give MVPs to the best player. Doesn't get voter fatigue like the NBA does. Baseball is the most pure sport when it comes to awards. Yeah, and I liked how they were doing I sort of still like it, but I liked it better earlier when they would do the Hall of Fame. There were years where they didn't elect anybody. To me, Hall of Fame is in my view reserved for the greats, and I don't like very, very, very good players getting into any Hall of Fame, but baseball is as close to being able to accomplish that as any sport. So that's a good thing. Well, folks, wow, that was a pretty fast 2.5 hours. My plan was to go 3 hours, but I think I got on a little bit later than I wanted to. But I want to thank everyone for being here this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. I will try to have another show much quicker than I've had this show since the last time we had it. I will keep you guys updated on that, and I'll try to continue to increase the production value on that in terms of publicizing and getting things out on social media a little bit. So, but if anybody wants to get in contact with me, you guys know how to get in contact with me. Just put in the Experiment on all the social medias. It'll pop up, whether it's Instagram, X, or even TikTok. So with that, I want you all to have a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and make sure you get ready for a very exciting weekend of WBC baseball, and get ready for March Madness, and get ready for the regular season baseball, and obviously the tail end of hockey and the NBA, which are going to go into their playoffs as well. And until next time, I will see you next time.